Good morning, interwebers. Hi. I am Bearclaw. If you do not know me by now, hopefully by the time this one goes on, I will have, I think, around about 7 or 8 videos, so I can actually start promoting my videos now. Yay! Woo! Um, but yeah, this will only go live on, go online around about the 4th or the 5th of January, because currently I'm still in Botswana. Um, and in case, since since this is sort of recorded without being uploaded on the same day, I think it's helpful for me to actually tell you the date of today. Today is a very interesting day. The date today is the 31st of December. It's New Year's Eve. And why do I feel like I'm out of focus? Um, I don't know. Anyways, maybe it's just me. Or this is dirty again. Sorry about this. I have no idea if that helps. Anyways, yes. So it's the last day of the year. So exciting. You may have noticed that my surroundings have changed a bit to looking a bit more like I am actually inside. I am not. I am, however, under a little roof in front of the church because, well, it's raining. In my previous video, that was last week Friday, I actually sort of complained about it being too hot and everything, and it's just all dry and everything, but yeah, basically this whole weekend that has passed, it's just been raining, and it's been raining hard. And on that point, this is not my first coffee. Um, this is my second coffee, but it's still morning, so I feel it's still allowed. Please don't rain hard. The rain has just started up again, and if it rains hard, I can't do this video because the table gets wet. And I do not want moisture, or well, I don't want it to rain on my laptop for obvious and logical reasons, of course. But yeah, so since today is wow, this is, oh, it's not me, it's just, why am I glowing? This is weird. Um, it's interesting that I'm glowing. Sorry. Well, this is glowing. This is not really glowing. But okay. Oh well. It makes me feel important. I'm gonna stay glowing. Haha. Sorry, a solid waste of 3 minutes of your time. Yeah. So since today is the last day of the year, you probably want me to talk about what happened in the year and all of that jazz. But no. I'm not. I am a person. I'm not. Okay, let's start like this. I'm not one of those people that at the end of the year I take stock of what happened through the year and what I could have done better, what I should have done differently, and all of that, because, well, essentially I do that every day. Or at least I try to, the most. If I don't, I'll do it at the end of the week. It's not something that is set or something. It's just something that randomly started to happen. Is every day after the day is done, when I'm lying in my bed trying to go to sleep, I take a bit of stock of what happened during the day. What I should have done differently, what I can do tomorrow to better the wrong things that I did today, and all of that thing. It sounds very airy-fairy and not really airy-fairy, but it sounds very philosophical or whatever in my brain. It's not really like that. I just feel you're supposed to take stock of what you have done, and think about where you are in life. Think about what you've been doing and all of that. Um, because otherwise, how can you improve? How can you better yourself if you don't see your faults, if you don't recognize what you did wrong? And, very importantly, recognize what you did right. Um, because if we just focus on the wrong things the whole time, um, then, well, life's not going to be a lot of fun, is it? Um, but yeah, this is already too philosophical or introspective or whatever you want to call it for my liking today. So, stop. Sorry, I'm talking to the weather. Um, I'm anyways not a person that specifically enjoys rain, especially during the day. Um, but the rain, I understand the rain is necessary. I mean, all the farmers have been complaining about there's no rain, they can't plant, the cows are going hungry, the sheep are going hungry, all of that. Yeah, it rained constantly for 3 days. I think there's enough. Plus, I need to walk to a shop just a bit later. Well, I wanted to do it at 10 o'clock, which it is more or less now. It's now 10:15 in the morning. Um, wow, hello, accent. Um, but yeah, since it's raining, I can't really do that. Yay! Do that. Um, sorry, the rain has sort of ceased. Um, to go buy myself a football shirt of the local football team here in Lubatsi. And that football team, although I have no background information whatsoever about them, I decided that I am going to support them purely based on the fact that my dad is now staying here. And that football team is the Extension Gunners. I the the name makes no sense to me, but hey, um, yeah. But anyways, um, so well, it's like, yeah. Anyways, no, I'm not gonna go into football now. No, because I have no idea what happened since the 23rd of December about what happened in football. There's been, I think, 3 or 4 matches that Man U have played, um, and I haven't been able to see them. And there was a Liverpool Arsenal game which I very much wanted to watch, but yeah, no. But anyways, what I actually want to talk to you guys about today is a bit of a, it's a very, I'm very passionate about this, and it's gonna sound a very ranty, and it sort of is a bit ranty, um, but it's more a call on stop raining. Sorry, it's more a call on the general public, mainly in South Africa, um, to just essentially be better. Um, I talked about this, I think, a while back. I can't remember. I think that was one of those iffy. I think that was the iffy one that I still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to upload it. But I'm going to talk a bit about the music industry, and I want to point out from the very beginning that even though I am a struggling musician in South Africa, um, I have not released anything yet. Although I have written 3 songs in the last week, so I might be doing so soon. And like I said on a previous video, I think, go check out Flip Flop Guitarist. They will be on there. Um, but yeah, even though I sort of said that my stage name will be Bearclaw, but maybe just keep that to the bands and Flip Flop Guitarist can be solo. Who knows? The future is littered with opportunities. Sorry, it's some other speech that I heard somewhere or other in some or other movie. Um, but yeah, I'm not just gonna talk about the music industry in itself, though. I'm gonna talk a bit about South African fandom as well, or well, the lack thereof, which is sort of the wrong term to use. But let's start At the very beginning. Sorry. I watched Sound of Music last night. Um, but let's start with anime. I'm not. This might have changed in the last year. As far as I know, I checked this statistic that I am aware of was released at the start of last year or something. Um, so it's a bit old, but still, I don't see how it could have changed that much. And even that, my point will still stand, I believe. Um, let's start with anime. Now, I know in the USA and sometimes in the UK, there's big anime parties and dress ups and stuff like Comic Con, anime, and there's a huge anime convention in the USA that I'm aware of. Um, and they go all in, they really do a lot of effort for it, which is awesome for them. In South Africa, though, we don't really have that. Yes, we had two Comic Cons in the last year, which make no real amount of sense to me. Um, but even at Comic Con, people didn't dress up. Well, there were a lot of people that dressed up. Um, but as far as I have heard, because I was unable to go, unfortunately, um, as far as I heard, about 80% of the people just couldn't be bothered. And it's the same with Halloween and things like that. Like, just people don't dress up. For Halloween, I've been to the last four official big Halloween parties in Pretoria. And, well, 90% of the people dress up like Dia de la Muerte. And even though Halloween, yes, it has a bit of the whole Day of the Dead thing and all of that, it's a completely different thing. Dia de la Muerte is Mexico and Brazil and all of those. It's the more um, Spanish, Portuguese culture. Um, it's not Halloween. Um, but hey, it's not a lot of effort. You can wear any clothes you sort of want to. You just paint your face white with black stripes like there, so it looks like you have a skull. And I do a lot of effort. My first Halloween, I went as Natsu from from Fairy Tale. No, yes. My first Halloween, I went as Nazi. My second Halloween, I went as Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. This year, I went as I'm missing a Halloween. Oh, I only worked at the first one. I didn't actually go. Um, but yeah. And this year, I went as James. From Pokemon. And yes, Pokemon is an anime, don't be fooled by what Funimation tries to tell you. Pokemon is still an anime. It's not necessarily that good of an anime, and a lot of people will want to kill me for saying that. But granted, I am a bit more fantasy orientated, and although I've tried really, really hard to get past Pokemon, I'm gonna rewatch it at some point. Maybe get further. I generally get stuck around season 4, um, or Gen 4, whichever comes first. Um, no, whichever comes last. um, but yeah, in South Africa, people don't dress up. Now, you might say, yeah, well, maybe there's not that big of a fan base in South Africa for anime. And no, that's a complete and utter lie. According to the statistic that I talked about earlier, um, I'm guessing that was in 2016 or 2017. I'm not 100% sure of when I saw the statistics. Um, Crunchyroll I think it was Crunchyroll that said it. It might have been AnimeDB, I'm not sure. But released a list of the countries that watch the most anime. And, well, the US was in front, obviously, it's the US. Um, I can't remember who was second, I think it was somewhere in Europe. And then third was South Africa. Meaning South Africa was a year or two ago, was the third biggest consumer of anime in the world. According to Crunchyroll or AnimeDB, I can't remember which site it was. And we have anime societies. We have two different anime societies at University of Pretoria. There's, I think, three at Stellenbosch. Um, there's an anime society in at COFSIS, the University of the Free State. Um, Almost all of the universities have anime societies, which are actually doing well for themselves. I mean, Cool Runnings plays um, a bar very close to my house. They have anime nights, and yes, some people show up, but not the amount that should. I mean, they Cool Runnings. I was unable to go. Unfortunately, I had to work, but they showed the first episode of Fairy Tale on the day after it was released in Japan. Of season 3. Um, they showed the first 2 or 3 episodes of I think it was Alternative Gun Gale. I don't know, this Sword Art Online that released last year at the beginning or middle of last year. And yes, people went and everything, and people watched it, and it's all fun and games. But there's no real fandom. There's no real. I mean, yes, you can talk to your friends, and everyone gets excited about it. But let's go to an anime. Oh no, 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 no. It's like people are afraid of admitting what they like, which it's not just in anime. Like, if Crunchyroll came to South Africa and had an anime convention, theoretically, because of the data that they have collected and everything, theoretically, it should be a massive success. But unfortunately, the first 2, 3 are not going to be. That's just what I'm saying, because people won't admit that they like it. There's a huge anime fan base underground, and it's the same with fantasy and movies and reading books for some reason. Apparently, people are afraid of admitting they like to read books. Please explain that to me. Actually, I can explain that because all the media we get from the USA, which USA is that way. No, USA is that way. That's north. So USA is that way. Anyways, always go around about a few things that irritate me in general. Broccoli is absolutely horrible. Maths is the worst thing known to mankind. And reading is just plain wrong. Why? Broccoli is brilliant. It tastes nice. There we go. I really enjoy broccoli, raw, cooked, without a cheese sauce. Granted, I'm not a big fan of cheese sauces. I prefer to actually taste my broccoli. Crispy, soggy, I don't care. Broccoli is awesome. Maths, honestly, you won't be anywhere without maths. Without doing maths in school, you won't succeed in life. Because it might not be that obvious, but math is a big, big part of everyday life. And reading, well, one thing that I've realized, and that's including doctorate students and doctoral students, and master's students, honor students, undergrads, they can't spell. People can't spell in this modern day and age. Why? Well, my biggest Well, the thing I think, what is the biggest reason for that is people don't read anymore. Because, well, first of all, schools force stupid books down our throats. I've talked about this before. I know I have. Um, but yeah, they force books that we don't want to read. We have no connection to the books. It has no bearing on our lives. Nothing. And then they try to pull imagery out of the air. Some of you probably saw the meme war a few months ago about the whole thing about the curtains are blue because the writer was so depressed and all of that and blah 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 blah. Blah. And then the guy going back in time, studying or going to study what quantum physics and all of that to build a time machine to go back in time to when the author was alive, brought him back, took him to his English class, and then when the teachers, and then he asked the teacher, why is the curtains blue? And she said, because he was depressed. And then he asks the author, or the poet, or whatever you want to call him, why is the curtains blue? Do you know what he said? Because the curtains were blue. Not everything needs to have a meaning. If you want to use imagery, take a fantasy book. Imagery galore. Not necessarily of, no, the poet wrote this because this and this and this and this and this. Sorry, screen went blank. There we go. Thank you. Not like that, because, well, a question I've always had is, are we, what, come on, I can't remember the word, are we examining the poem? Are we taking the poem apart and talking about the poem, or are we talking about the poet? Because 9 out of 10 times when we are busy with a poem, in school, in university, when we're talking about a poem, supposedly, we talk more about what the poet is going through than what the poem is actually about. Which is not the point of literature studies. You study the literature to study the literature, not the creator of the literature. Please, if there are any teachers listening to this, preferably on some other board that actually has a say in what happens in our schools, stop doing this. That is why students do not want to do Afrikaans and English in any language, because you force things down their throats which they do not like, which they will never like because of the way it's taught to them, and that has no bearing on their actual lives. In, I think it's the UK, in the UK they give them Discworld books. Maybe that's taking it a bit too far. If you take Tiffany Aching books, sure. But there's a lot of schools in the USA that use Percy Jackson, Magnus Chase, Hunger Games. Not necessarily problems that we deal with in everyday life, but we as young people, and I'm granted, yes, I'm not 17 or 16 or what I think Katniss was also 17 or 18 at the start, I can't remember, not a huge Hunger Games fan. But anyways, don't kill me. Not necessarily actual problems that we deal with, but we can imagine what they're going through, because we're going through similar things. So automatically our interest is there. Especially with Hunger Games, the movies were a huge success. What did the children want to do in school? Hey, here's an idea. Instead of giving us Thomas Hardy and things that happened 400 years ago, that has no bearing on any life that we lead now, give us books that we already sort of want to read. Give us things that we already know, that it's already sort of in our comfort zone. We already enjoy the movies. Give us that. Give us the books of the movies. I'm not saying Twilight. Twilight could go and suck on a codfish. Um, but now, let's get to the actual point. 25 minutes into this video, which every single video I say that I'm trying to cut down on these videos, and I'll have to speak quickly because I'm gonna get wet soon. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to figure out in what direction the rain is falling, but it seems at this point it's just sort of down. But it seems to be coming more from that side. Anyways, the music industry in South Africa. More specifically, I want to focus on rock and metal. Because, well, first off, I'm a South African rock and metal musician. I'm in a Christian metalcore band, and I'm in a alternative rock band, who might later go on to metalcore. It has been tossed around, we haven't really decided, but we're gonna do wherever the wind takes us, or the music takes us. So, that doesn't really matter. What matters is, you can go look on Spotify and wherever they have little charts of what a certain country listens to the most and so on, and yes, unfortunately, soccer will be at the top of it because that's what you're supposed to listen to. Whether you're English or Afrikaans, it doesn't really matter, you need to listen to soccer in South Africa. Why? Why do I need to listen to 27,000 songs that say exactly the same thing? I like you. I think you like me. Anyways, I'm here, you're here, let's bang. And yes, I'm aware that there are a lot of rock songs that also do say this. But it's in a lot more creative way. They do it so much more creative, and there's so much more emotion in the and like I talked about the video that I saw of Dan Patlansky talking to oh my goodness, what's his name? Lee Anderson on Anderson TV. Anderson's TV. I don't know. But granted, he's had great success. He's touring Europe, he's touring the USA, he's going to Australia apparently as well. Awesome for him. But yes, over the years, our big rock bands. Let's see. Straatligkinders, Glasgas, sort of. Not really FL because they stopped too early. Folk of Politica, Van Kou Kartel, Jubbels Fantasties in a sort of aching. Okay, and now there's Dan Patlansky, Dave Matthews Band, and there's a lot of upcoming people. Shut Up It's Sunday, Made for Broadway, who have already, both of those have already toured the US. Held On Till May. There's a lot of potential, but you know what the problem is? There's a little bar close to where I used to study. It's called Art Class. Now, Art Class is probably one of the most famous bars in all of South Africa. And I think twice a week they have bands to come and perform there. I think it's $30 entrance or something. It's not really a lot. But granted, there's 5 or what bands that perform each evening, rock and metal. And granted, around about 4 of them are generally good. But people don't go. Onclass is struggling. Onclass is the only rock bar that I am aware of still alive in Pretoria for no apparent reason. It's not true. Everyone believes you need to fuck off to Cape Town. Sorry. To become a musician in South Africa, which is absolute bulldog. You don't. You don't. All the big companies are chilling here in Pretoria, here, in a different country. Um, but you don't. It's just easier in Cape Town because this government actually cares about what happens in Cape Town. But anyways, OnPlus struggles to actually make rent. They are struggling. They're one of the, I think they're currently the oldest bar in Pretoria, which is our country's capital, by the way. Oldest bar in Pretoria, and they're struggling. Only rock bar that I'm aware of in the whole of our capital city. And they're struggling. Why? Because the South African people won't admit that they like rock and metal. And I don't get why. But as far as I know, the lead singer from Cedar, who is South African, by the way, he's talked about this as well. It's just people won't acknowledge that there is such a thing. They'll complain constantly about there's no good rock and metal bands in South Africa, which is also absolute bulldog. Facing the Gallows is brilliant. They're brilliant. Polytones, even though it's sort of more alternative than rock, brilliant. Straatligkinders was brilliant. I haven't listened to the new album. Politica and so on, yes, it's Afrikaans, but and it's still good music. I mean, the Japanese eat up. Sorry, it's more the Chinese. The Chinese eat up the Antwoord, and yeah, well, if you were Afrikaans, it's not very wholesome music. They can't understand probably a word of what they're saying, but they enjoy the music. So why don't we go? According to Spotify, a lot of almost every single person in South Africa that has Spotify listens to rock or metal or something at some point. But they see it as a guilty pleasure. And I don't get why. You can, like I said, $30 entrance. That's what? I think it's $2 in US. Give or take. Yeah, it's about $2. It's not a lot of money. $30 is not a lot of money. I can't even buy a packet of cigarettes for $30. And what I'm seeing is that people aren't willing to pay $30 to go see brilliant acts in a genre that they do like, because they believe in their brain that there can't be good bands from South Africa. But then you try and show them and they say, no, I'm rather going to Platteland or, well, I don't specifically have a problem with Platteland yet, but they'd rather go to Bayveld, pay $150 to go see some random other Soki Oak that can't play a single musical instrument, that sing songs that aren't written by them, with little to no emotion, which in the whole set, every single song says the same thing. Now granted, yes, a lot of my friends who might be watching this, you know I have a big problem with soca music. And I'm going to explain this to you now. Dion Maiden, he was, well, he sort of still is. They haven't actually disbanded, they just sort of stopped making music. But Dion Maiden is the lead singer and guitarist for Glassgas. And I'm starting to get wet. I'm just gonna for Glassgas. And almost everybody in my age group, maybe not the more English people, because it was an Afrikaans band, almost all of us at least know Glassgas. I think their first album went double platinum or triple platinum or whatever. They actually did very well. I mean, they won a rock competition. Yet they still had to do day jobs to get by. Whereas you go as a single person with a relative idea of how music works, with no musical theory behind your background or anything, you can sort of sing, You go out there and you become a millionaire for singing songs that you don't even write, for hurting your vocal cords, for singing a song that has the same tempo as the 300,000 other songs that came before it. Yes, I get people want to dance. I get that. And people want to soki, and yes, soki is fun. But oh my goodness, can't you make a better song? I mean, the best song I've ever heard from Karlin van Jaarsveld wasn't even a soki song. The best Kurt Darren song. Kurt Darren is like the king of soki music. The best song he ever wrote, in my opinion, was what's it, On Eagle's Wings or Eagle's Fly or something, Angels, something like that. Such a beautiful song. And he did well, because he's Kurt Darren. That's why he did well. My problem is, if it wasn't Kurt Darren, that song would have never done as well, because people want to listen to stupid music, even though they don't necessarily enjoy the music. I've talked to a lot of people about this, since you can actually see that this is something that I am very passionate about. Then they say, yeah, soca music isn't the best, but you can dance to it. I'm like, and? So, you can dance on anything that has a 4-beat rhythm. I mean, better einde, electronic alternative semi-rock type group in South Africa. Like they've said in Afrikaans though, you can dance on a blinker. Like, you know, the orange lights at the side of your car that you almost never use, that one. And that is true. Anything with any beat, you can dance to it. You don't need soca music. You don't. And I don't know, the South African people don't want to admit that they like music that isn't soca music, because, I don't know, yes, they feel soca music is inherently South African. Yes, I will agree to that. Soca music is very South African, it's very our culture and all of that. But there has been no progression in soca music in the last 30 years. Music needs to progress, to become better, to change, to develop, to grow. I mean, if you go listen to... Oh, so many people are going to hate me. Metallica, Iron Maiden, Skid Row. They were classified as heavy metal. And yes, heavy metal has taken on in the recent past. Heavy metal has gotten a different type of idea behind it. It's more, heavy metal is now sort of classic metal type vibes, sort of like classic rock and all of that. But it's not really necessarily heavy, and a lot of the songs are not really actually metal. Granted, Metallica is now classified as thrash, and they have changed their sound and everything. But that's the whole point. They have changed their sound to go with the times. And no, this is not selling out. This is progressing in your music. There's a huge difference. See what Bastille did. I don't specifically want to say progressing with their music, but they still have an essence of what they were. I have no idea what Paramore has done, but yeah, they've lost it sort of, in my opinion. Because they were this, Paramore especially, they were a breakout new band, a female vocalist who was, honestly, yes, with a brilliant voice, and they were rock. They were, without a single doubt, they were rock. Are they really still rock? Are they? At the most, I will classify them as soft rock. But anyways, I think I've lost my point somewhere along the line because I've been ranting about other stuff. But I would like to employ the South African public. And any people living in South Africa, even if you aren't a South African, and any companies, any people working at companies that want to bring stuff to South Africa, do it. Do it. Um, it might not succeed in the first 2 or 3 times, but will succeed over time. People will get out of their cages and they will go. But yeah, so I would like to employ the South African public now. And I'm pretty sure most of my viewers aren't even South African. But anyways, um, but gosh, if you like rock and metal, go to a rock and metal show. My one friend has 17 different rock and metal t-shirts, band tees. How many rock shows? And I mean, he can, if it's System of a Down, he can tell you what song it is, what year it was released, all of that, within the first 2 notes. He knows his rock. He knows his metal. He's very passionate about it. He listens to it all the time. How many rock or metal shows has he been to? This much. This much. 0. And he's a huge metal and rock fan. And it's not because he doesn't have the money for it or he didn't get the opportunity. No. It's because he can't. And yes, he is a show fan. I mean, yes, I can go with the people that aren't really that live show type people. I can. That's fine. But he actually enjoys live shows. But he doesn't want to go. Because why? Because why? Yes, it's going to be good music, awesome, yes. So that it can go on, so that people can continue to produce good rock and metal music. Especially in South Africa. We have such a rich culture, such a rich history. There's so much to work upon, creatively, musically. But we don't. Music is a big part of, okay, not that big a part, but music is still a huge part of South African history. From not necessarily slavery songs, but oppression songs and depression songs, and just we've had so much shit in the last 100 years in South Africa. Work on that. That is where songs come from. It's hard times. That's where the best songs usually come from. It's hard times. Because you can get emotional about that. Yes, you can get emotional about things that went well as well, but it's usually, unfortunately, not as strong. Work on your hardships in life. I mean, I'm struggling to make it through the month. I'm writing songs about that. Me and my girlfriend recently broke up. I wrote a song 2 days ago about that. We can. We just actually need to get off our asses and do something about it. Because the fans are there. They're just waiting for someone to come and pull them in. They're waiting for someone to not take no for an answer. And yes, if there's any South Africans watching, you might disagree. But I promise you, what I'm saying is true. The fans are there. The search for good South African rock is there. Even if though you might say, no, there's no good rock in South Africa. First off, that's absolute bullshit. Second off, you're not looking hard enough or in the right places. And believe me, you don't need to look hard. You really don't need to look hard. I mean, we had a huge show by Our Last Night. What, 2 months ago? Not even. It was the start of, well, yeah, it's almost 2 months ago. In South Africa. 2,500 people, 2,500 people bought tickets to that show. Yes, only around about 1,800 pitched up. But that's the other 700 problem. I didn't give a shit. I was there. It was awesome. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. And I didn't even have enough money to drink. It wasn't alcohol that made me enjoy it. It was the music. It was the 5 South African bands before them that got me to enjoy the music. It got me to enjoy my night because it was good music. We do have the capacity to do it. We just need to go out and do it. And the fans, yes, people can be tone deaf. It's normal. Not everyone can sing. Not everyone wants to sing. Not everyone can play an instrument. Not everyone wants to. But there will always be people that want to listen to your music. Always. So I implore the South African public, go to shows. Go out. Get out of your houses. Get off your cell phones and go out and explore the world. Then you'll stop complaining and see how brilliant it actually is. I'm sorry. This turned out to like be a preaching and everything, and I did not mean for it to be like that. But my coffee is cold. Sorry that the video is a bit long. I really don't really care because this needed to be said again, and it will probably need to be said again later, and again after that, and again after that, until something starts to happen. And that's why I think actually I'll upload this video to YouTube as well, to Facebook, because, well, maybe people can randomly see it. But anyways, anyways, please like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. If you have any comments, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, put it in the comment section below. If you have tips and everything, except for making my videos shorter. If you have tips on how I can do that, please, just do that. Don't just say make your videos shorter, because I'm aware that my videos are long, and I do apologize for it. But it's unscripted, so I can't really put a timing on it. And that's what I love about this. This is all talking out of the fist. Well, that's an Afrikaans saying, I'm not sure what it is. But it's not completely pulling it out of my arse or like sucking my thumb. I'm talking from here with all of these. I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about things that interest me. So, yeah. If you have any comments or any tips or whatever, put it down below. If you know any good South African bands and when they might be performing, put it down below, please. I want to go watch a few more shows. So yes, I wanted to say something else. Oh yeah, Happy New Year, people. Hopefully this year will be different. I don't know in what way. It might be worse, it might be better, but hey, it'll never be the same. But yes, so, I've been Bearclaw, you've been the interwebbers, and this has been my morning coffee.